Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Mile for the Camera. Today I'm joined by Trena Raudabush. She is the development director for Back on My Feet Indianapolis, which is a local nonprofit. It's a national nonprofit,
Yes.
actually. They have a local chapter, and I think they're in 13 cities total.
Yes,
something
good
like
job.
That. Yeah, all right. And they help those who are overcoming homelessness get back on their feet through a really interesting program that involves running. So we're gonna do a loop around the canal here in downtown Indianapolis and learn a little bit more about it. Ready to do it?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Okay, so I think a lot of people probably have heard of it if they know my channel, at least at this point. But for those that
Appreciate
don't,
the support.
yeah, 2 of the 3 episodes so far have mentioned it, so they've at least heard the phrase.
Nice.
But for those who haven't, if you can give us just kind of the elevator pitch, what is Back on My Feet?
So you nailed it on the head. Back on My Feet combats homelessness through running, community support, and employment and housing resources. We run 3 mornings a week outside Wheeler Mission and from 10th and Penn with residents living in facilities. All we ask of our members is to show up 90% of the time, so that's almost every morning, and they're met with community volunteers that come out and run and walk with them. Build self-esteem, confidence, easy wins, accountability, and then we get them into our Next Steps program, which focuses on career development, resume building. We make introductions to employers and help get quality jobs, not just any job, but one that is meaningful.
And I've seen that in action too. Like, I know White Lodging here is such a huge supporter, and I've seen folks who have kind of gone through the Next Step program, and then they're working at the JW, and it's so cool that White Lodging and other corporate partners like that they're not just donating money, but they're like backing it up by giving like job opportunities to people.
Absolutely.
And the running program shows a persistence that's I would think would be pretty attractive to job partners and employers.
Right, if you're gonna come out and run at 5:45 in the morning, especially in the cold weather, you're gonna show up to work on time. You're gonna keep showing up and you're gonna do a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the way that I actually got introduced to Back on My Feet was from a friend at another nonprofit who knew that I was a runner and was involved with giving back a little, and he said, hey, this organization's coming to town and they're like running related, you should go check it out. So I did.
Run, you go do it.
Yeah, you like to do that, then go run. But it was fascinating because it's such a different way to give back, to show up at 5:45 in the morning to go for a run. And like if you're not familiar with it, you hear the headline level, like running with homeless people in the morning.
Right, we pluck them out from under the bridge.
Right, yeah, and so, it's a weird headline to think about, but it's such a cool experience if you haven't done it to go run. So what was your impression when you got involved with the organization?
So I started as a volunteer before I came on staff, and I didn't know what to expect from the first run. What our men and women would be like, what their experiences would be like, what our conversations would be like. And I found that it was just like running with you. We talk about everything and nothing. One of the things we make sure of as members join is that they have brand new shoes. Thank you, Runners Forum, for helping us with that. And also weather appropriate gear. So now they look and feel like everybody that they're running with. It's really normalizing.
That was the thing that I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, but it was so cool because when I was going, there would be there's a lot of people that show up to these runs.
Yeah.
And so I didn't necessarily know everybody's name, and I honestly didn't know who was volunteering, who was a member in the program.
Oh, I love hearing that.
And
that is so
and that
important.
was so cool because it makes you, was really fun to approach conversations that way, because if you do see a homeless person on the street, you approach a homeless person on the street differently than you would a business person. And in this context, you don't know, so you just talk to each other about anything, about running, about it really takes all this stuff away, and you can just talk to people like people.
Yeah, and our members have the most interesting backgrounds. A good number of them were military vets that have come back and had challenges with reintegration, but were able to translate their skills, their strengths. And one of our members had told us that he felt lost after he left the military. He felt like he had lost his team and his identity, and he didn't realize what was off until he put on our shirt and realized that just like his Army t-shirt, our logo's across the chest. And now he's found his team and his identity.
Yeah, that's so cool. He's found his community.
Yeah. And if that's all we can do for someone, I think it's a win.
Absolutely. That's so cool. And you know, this ties in to, again, like, I don't know, I'm a big believer that experience is like the biggest teacher. And so if you hear that Indianapolis has a problem with homelessness, and you just read that from your couch, you get a one-sided impression of it.
Absolutely.
And if you can be, you know, open to exploring, like, on the ground yourself, the issue, like, it opens your mind in a way to overcome some of those
misperceptions.
The misperceptions.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what's a big misconception that people have about homelessness that you've seen, you know, kind of debunked firsthand?
Right. The most prevalent is that homeless men and women are lazy, that they don't want to better themselves, that they don't want to work. And I found exactly the opposite. Not only are they seeking jobs and opportunities where they can thrive, because our self-esteem is so connected with the work that we do, but they also are the first to raise their hands to volunteer. We do water stations, some of the local marathons, and they love it. They love to be able to give back. And I think, you know, if nothing else, like, I would like people to understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't, I think if you ask the general population, would you like to get up and start running by 5:45 a.m.? You know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at least 90%, you know, of the year. And you guys run in rain and cold weather.
Every day.
It takes some pretty rough weather for you to cancel a run. So so you can't really call that lazy.
No.
That's so cool. And I know you've mentioned before, like, once somebody gets through that Next Steps program and maybe they've, you know, found their some safe permanent housing and a job, that it's not like the program is done for them.
No, that's the cool part about ours is we have no definitive end date. You're always part of the family. The expectations and the resources shift to serve our members where they are in their journey. But we've never asked them to come back and mentor others, but they've taken it upon themselves to inspire men and women that are younger in the program to lend their resources and their experience to help somebody through a challenge, which is just really, really cool to see.
Yeah,
it's what we would expect from our friends.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and I've seen this firsthand too with the exposure I've had in being involved, and just seeing that progression is just incredible. And you know, again, you don't know where somebody's at when you all circle up in the morning and go for your run. So it's a great community. If somebody's watching this, and I highly encourage everybody to go try one of the morning runs. Do they need to do the like an orientation? We have a monthly orientation that'll give you kind of the lay of the land. Our only real rule is no one runs alone. Part for safety, but mostly for community. Yeah, that's Conversations are really boring when it's just you. But reach out to us. We're at backonmyfeet.org. If the orientation dates don't work, we'll figure out how to accommodate. And then in addition to running, we depend on our community partners, individuals and organizations to help us with those workshops, resume building, mock interviews, things like that, where you can either develop new skills, you can practice your skills, you can lend your talents. So we can always find a way to plug in. Yeah, so whether you want to give your time, your money, or your professional expertise, you're open to it. Very cool. And so So we're recording this right now, basically from the Monumental Marathon Expo.
Yes.
How many folks do you have running
We'll
this year,
have
do you know?
40 plus running, mostly in the 5K.
Wow. That's another amazing thing to witness. Like, a lot of these guys start in the program never running, and then they end up running like a half marathon or a marathon
we
even.
have
It's
two
just
doing the
wild.
marathon this weekend.
That's so cool. Those finish lines have to be just emotional.
They are the best.
That's so cool. So yeah, thank you for taking the time to run with me. I highly recommend everybody check out Back on My Feet. You won't regret getting involved. And
Thanks for the mile.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.